Don't mind me, I'm just trying to practice my bass guitar skills. The thing is, I've been focusing too much on my professor persona that I've yet to really amplify my bass skills, so in order to mitigate that, I've been trying to find the hardest bass song to play, but I just feel like everything that I've done so far has been already done before. If only there was like a funky fresh video game to get my creative juices going.
Jet Set Radio!
Perfect!
Man, what a fantastic intro. That is how you hype the player up. You guys know SEGA, right? Makers of Sonic the Hedgehog, Yakuza, Phantasy Star, Aliens, Colonial Marines. Before becoming a third-party company, they were a console manufacturer developing various consoles to compete with Nintendo, the Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, and the oh-so-unfortunate Sega Saturn after getting curb stomped by Sony. It's debatable on whether people say that the Sega Genesis is considered the best Sega system. It most certainly was the most successful, but in terms of one more memorable Sega system, nothing is more elegant than the swan song that is the Sega Dreamcast.
I never owned the damn thing.
Here I am giving you a lecture on one of Sega's best systems, and yet I don't even own a damn thing. I own a PlayStation Classic before I own a Dreamcast. I'm sure that's outlawed in 5 different countries. And despite this though, most of the Dreamcast games nowadays have been ported over to other systems. Sonic Adventure onto the GameCube and later onto the 7th generation of consoles, Shenmue on the original Xbox, remastered for the PS4 and Xbox One. I've got this Dreamcast collection that has Space Channel 5 and Crazy Taxi, and even for third-party games, who could forget Code Veronica? People, like that game, right? It feels as though every Dreamcast game has been ported over to other systems, and that includes the game that we're covering today, Jet Set Radio, originally known as Jet Grind Radio due to legal issues from a company named Jet Set, but do note I have not found a citation for this, so God knows why it was originally changed. Jet Set Radio was most famous for its cel-shaded graphics. I'm not sure if it was the first game to feature the term, but it most certainly was the one that popularized the style. Game director Masayoshi Kikuchi had trouble developing what kind of game they wanted to make. The team designed the visuals before the gameplay with the help of designer Hosokawa Kazuki and artist Ryuta Ueda, creating this cool and fresh vibe to appeal towards the teenagers and youth. Look at these boys and girls, you cannot get more funky fresh than the GGs. It also helped that they got the musical composer Hideki Naganuma to create some of the best soundtracks for the game, along with various underground artists and Rob Zombie for some reason. There was even a promotion going on in San Francisco with a graffiti competition up until former Mayor Willie Brown tried to stop that. He failed, and on October 31st, 2000, Jet Grind Radio was released to the Americas for the Sega Dreamcast, and on June 26, 2003 for the Game Boy Advance for some reason. Eventually, the game was remastered for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC on September 19, 2012, and lucky for Xbox One users, this game is backwards compatible with the system. I've never played the game at launch since I never owned a Sega system as a kid, and still as an adult. My first experience with Jet Set Radio was on the sequel for the original Xbox, since it was a dual pack alongside Sega GT 2002. All I gotta say about that game is that I absolutely love it as a kid, but didn't play the original Jet Set Radio until an HD version was released for the Xbox 360. I played the first 3 stages and then got stuck and never picked it up again.
Now that doesn't necessarily mean I hated the game or anything. I certainly had difficulty issues when I was a teenager, but the sole reason why I didn't really continue playing through it was because it was released in 2012. And because of that, my mind was dead set on games like Assassin's Creed 3 or Call of Duty Black Ops 2, since at the time I was a huge fanatic of those games. But this time, I'm going to beat it. Jesus, this is really the 3rd time I covered an Xbox title, huh? I need to cover other systems too eventually, otherwise I'll be considered the guy that only covers Xbox games. I mean, come on guys, I want to play Catalog Forever sometime in the future. And as per usual, at the end of the video, I will give it a grade and decide whether or not this game deserves to graduate from Video Game Academy or drop out like Spider-Man when he tried to rescue Gwen Stacy. Oh yeah, spoiler warning, by the way.
I guess on top of spoilers, I had to once again mention spoiler warnings, but as I've said for the 3rd time in this review, this game is not really story heavy, and that's even more so with this game. What do? Well, as an honorary member of the GGs, it's your duty to spread some wiggity whack art to the suburban area of Tokyo-to. There's 3 rival gang members such as Poison Jam, the seductress of love called the Love Shockers, and the Noise Tanks, who is noisy. I don't know, I barely remember these guys. These boys and girls want nothing more than to spread their artwork, but the damn police are after them, led by this crazy bastard Onishima, who has a serious case of cocaine and helium. On top of that, there's also two dudes and dudettes named Combo and Cube, and they're in search for their friend named Coin, who was mysteriously kidnapped from Bantham and transported to Tokyo-to by the assassin group called the Golden Rhinos. The Golden Rhinos being led by the Rokaku Corporation, and their CEO, Goji Rokaku, plans on brainwashing the GG's rivals to stop the GG's themselves, and from Goji trying to collect 3 pieces of a vinyl record called the Devil's Contract to rule the world.
Okay, never mind, this game's pretty complex.
And that's it! Nothing too special happens. The GG wins, the Devil Contract gets destroyed, Goji falls to his possible death. I want to say that, but he appears in a sequel, so something must have happened to revive him. The only unfortunate loss for our protagonist is that Coin is far too deep beyond saving. Whatever the hell that means. It implies that he's still alive, just either crazy or lobotomized, but it doesn't matter as the GGs are now free to spread their art around Tokyo-to and Bantham.
Did you know that the main bad guy, Goji Rokaku, has the same voice actor as Super Mario, Charles Martinet?
Members of the Golden Rhino, you must find that record.
I'm a Wario. I'm gonna win.
I don't know how to exactly fit that into the video, I just want to point that out.
You may have noticed that I started off with the story this time around rather than the gameplay. It's ridiculously minuscule to the overall plot that I honestly feel as though it's best to just cover that as quickly as possible. If you plow through the story, you'll be able to beat the game in about 4 hours or so. More so if you purposely decide to not recruit anyone to your team aside the bare necessities. But the meat of the overall package pertains towards its gameplay. Let's start with the controls. Since I'm playing on the Xbox 360 remaster version, you can now use the right analog stick to control the camera, as previously, the Dreamcast lacked the function for camera movement aside from pressing the left trigger to center the camera. Now, you see all these face buttons over here? Yeah, you only need the A button to jump. This game is pretty simplistic when it comes to its base control schemes. You can use the left trigger to center your camera and spray graffiti, the right trigger to sprint, and that's it. 3 buttons. This might as well be a Sega Genesis game. No other buttons are used for the game at all aside from the start, select, and B buttons, and even then, those are only for menu navigations. On one hand, this is a very simplistic game to pick up with only 3 buttons and a control stick. Unfortunately, there's no button configuration, so you can't assign the Y or X buttons to mimic an action command for the triggers. I wouldn't have too much of a problem with this, except the button to center the camera is the same as the use graffiti button. Look at this section where I'm trying to deal with the noise tanks. This looks irritating as all heck. Having to mash the left trigger to attack while the camera gyrates faster than a headbanger in a metal concert.
If only there were more buttons to use, this could have easily separated both functions.
Now, I'm assuming the Dreamcast had the same control scheme, and if that's the case, well, what the fuck, that's even worse. The Sega Dreamcast has 4 face buttons by default. What the hell's their excuse? Now, this issue only pertains towards the rival battles, and I'm just gonna summarize these sections real quick. There are 3 members of each rivals that you have to spray 10 times in total. You gather as much graffiti as you can and spam that left trigger for maximum effect. Otherwise, the other way to spray graffiti is during these stage sections, where the goal is to spread your graffiti art away. You match the movement of the arrows. Usually it's a quarter circle, half circle, or full circle motion. The longer you keep your combo, the better your score will be. But do be careful as the police and SWAT team members are after you, so you gotta make sure that not only you've stockpiled on enough graffiti, but make sure you avoid these police officers, especially Onishima. He does not f*** around. You can also customize your own graffiti, though I imagine it's a lot more easier with a mouse and keyboard or a drawing tablet because the Xbox controller is horrible as a cursor. The best I got was writing the names of my co-commentators for my Let's Play channel, Mello, Lexi, and Dan. Otherwise, I'm no artist, but if you look at the community, you can see some beautiful art pieces come into play, some of which may not be safe for work. You have 3 characters to choose from the start, Beat being your standardized character, Tab being able to hold more graffiti and has more HP, and Gum has no physical benefits. She is squishy, can't hold nearly enough graffiti, and her graffiti inputs are way harder. So you may ask, why would you ever want to choose her? To obtain jet ranking at the end of the stage. While it is possible to obtain one as Beat or Tab, Gum's multiplier increases due to her graffiti difficulty. In terms of their design, I am a huge fan of Beat and Gum. Not so much with Tab, unfortunately. I feel he sort of looks like a janitor with a beanie. But Beat's look is iconic, from his green goggles, yellow shirt with his name written in katakana, and Gum, my goodness, she is so adorable. That's a sweater you wear for a Christmas party, and yet she's stylish in it with just a tank top dress. Of course, they're not limited to just these 3, as from time to time, you can unlock more characters as you progress through the story. Garam, the dude that refuses to wear a shirt, but good god, he looks like he could kick your ass. The cute and kawaii Mew. Piranha, the curvaceous disco female who, Unfortunately, thought it was a good idea to wear this puke-looking glove. Look, I'm no graphic designer, but I'm pretty sure these color schemes don't match. Maybe if the gloves are red or pink or hell, just plain old white, that would've been fine, but okay, whatever. First world problems, I know. All these characters you unlock throughout the game are designed with the best amount of 90s culture. Even if this Slate fella, who looks like a human Squidward working for April O'Neil. Most of these characters you unlock by either copying their exact move or by beating them at a race, though when I say copy their exact moves, I mean their exact moves. You can't go all fancy by showing off your dominance, otherwise the game counts that as a failure. And there are even times where I feel like I did the moveset exactly, but get a game over screen anyways. Not a huge fan of them, but I do like the races. I think the AI can go without the hand-holding. It feels like Yo-Yo here is trying to tell me that I'm a noob. Well, tell me this, Yo-Yo, why is it that during the cutscene your voice sounds normal, but as soon as you get into gameplay you sound like you smoked a shit ton of helium? Yo! As stated before, Cube and Combo are the only two mandatory characters you have to recruit. Combo is pretty much like Tab, but to the extreme. He has the highest amount of HP, and he can hold a crap ton of graffiti. He's pretty much the easy mode of the game, if you don't mind getting a pedal rank. Cube is, well, I don't know exactly what to classify Cube. She seems to just be like a female beat in terms of playstyle, since both of their rankings look pretty much the same. I just gotta say, I love Cube's design. I've always got a thing for goth girls growing up, and yes, she's got mad skills.
I got mad skills.
Throughout the game, you will hear the underground radio show, Jet Set Radio, featuring DJ Professor K, a loud and rambunctious musical genius that also fills the plot of the game. Unfortunately, his microphone doesn't seem to be up to snuff.
You know someone somewhere is crying with a ookie ookie waku waku feeling.
The f does ookie ookie waku waku mean?
Yeah, if there's one thing I have to complain about the audio department is that it's compressed as hell. I mean, I get that's ported over from the Dreamcast version, and back then games weren't archived, but I'm sorry. This buzzing is just irritating to me. It's a shame too because the music selection are complete bangers. From the original musical pieces composed just for this game to the licensed music that features amazing artists. I'll say this once and I'll say it again. You do not know how happy I was when I heard Dragula for the first time. In a sense, this game is a lot more arcadey as you can replay through the missions along with extra missions to add more fuel to the fire. It might not have a breathtaking story, but it served its purpose fine and it doesn't really need to be fancy. A simple beat the bad guys to win easily works fine enough.
So in conclusion, even with its own issues, I feel like this could easily be overlooked. There's a lot of customization for your own graffiti art to express oneself. The cel-shaded graphics definitely pioneer the cartoony aspects of future video games. The 100% unlockables are definitely rewarding with extra characters and extra content. And on top of the characters, there's an array of amount of characters that I'm pretty sure at least one of them will take your fancy. And on top of that, the amount of music that's in this game, from underground, hip-hop, J-rock, experimental, and metal, it's no doubt that this game easily gets to graduate. Okay, I think I got it. The hardest bass song in the galaxy. Once I play this song perfectly, I will be crowned the best bassist in the world.